Hi everyone! Today, we're going to talk about Yandere Simulator's protagonist, Ayano Aishi, her character design, personality, and how she could be improved. While the game as a whole has various aesthetic and mechanical issues, one of the biggest missed opportunities is Ayano herself. Her personality feels incomplete, her design lacks contrast, and her role in the story isn't as impactful as it could be. In this video, I'll analyze why her character doesn't fully work and explore ways to make her more dynamic, memorable, and thematically consistent. Before we begin, I want to clarify that although I no longer support this game or its developer, my goal is not to attack anyone or spread negativity. This is simply a discussion based on my observations as someone who was a fan of the game for over 10 years. I encourage everyone watching to keep the discussion constructive and respectful. With that said, let's dive in. If we take a look at Ayano-chan herself, we can clearly see her dark and twisted side. However, the opposite side of her personality is almost non-existent. Yes, we know that she suffers from a condition that makes her unable to feel human emotions, essentially turning her into an empty shell. But I don't think it has to be that way. I believe that if Ayano had two contrasting sides to her personality, one dark and obsessive, the other seemingly normal or even kind, it would add more complexity and depth to her character. By completely stripping her of human emotions, Yandere Simulator fails to make her a truly bittersweet character and instead leaves her as purely bitter. This lack of depth drastically wastes the potential of her design. So, what I'm going to do is rework certain aspects of Ayano-chan's personality by giving her a second, completely opposite side, one that adds more contrast and makes her a more engaging character. For my personal taste, I'd like to keep Ayano Aishi's condition, which makes her unable to feel emotions, but I would rework the way this condition manifests. I want to use this condition to my advantage, making Ayano appear unstable and unpredictable rather than empty and emotionless. I don't want to make her personality overly sweet or bubbly, but to introduce some contrast, I would give her a sense of understanding and kindness. She could feel empathy, joy, and even sadness, experiencing being misunderstood, not only by senpai, but by other people as well. To enhance this, I would exaggerate these feelings, making her something of an empath, which is the complete opposite of a calculating, fixation-driven character. This duality would add significant depth to her, creating a much more complex and engaging portrayal. Her ability to understand complex human emotions and use these insights to her advantage as strategic tools would make her an even more formidable character. She would be able to emotionally influence others, anticipate the emotional consequences of situations, and even put on a facade to outsmart her rivals. Just imagine what she could achieve with that level of understanding. Pairing this superintelligence with dangerous instincts immediately elevates Ayano as a character and makes her appear more intimidating and intriguing. Of course, I want these changes to be reflected in her appearance as well, slightly altering her color palette, the way she dresses, and even her overall behavior. In addition, I'd like to introduce occasional outfit and hairstyle changes as a gameplay mechanic. I envision Ayano being able to change her outfit at will, switching into pajamas, wearing different types of uniforms, and so on. I also want players to be able to unlock certain perks and skills as they progress in the game as a gameplay mechanic. For example, certain schemes and situations may unlock specific accessories as boosters. The original game has a similar mechanic, but since it involves wearing different types of underwear to school, I find it rather odd. Therefore, I would like this mechanic to be slightly altered. Instead of unlocking boosters from underwear, I would include other types of accessories, such as a bow, a hair clip, a ring, or perhaps a necklace. As for her opposite personality, I would want her entire aesthetic to shift into something truly dark and unsettling. This contrast would further emphasize the complexity of her character. For this to work effectively, Ayano Aishi's design must be approached very carefully, unlike how Yandere Dev has done it. Every detail, from her clothes to her expression, should reflect the duality of her nature, creating an unsettling yet intriguing contrast between her two sides. Whenever she experiences jealousy or adrenaline, I want her vision to become foggy or even glitchy. This could be a game feature that alters the way the player perceives the environment while Ayano is going through intense emotions. I also want her to have several adrenaline rushes whenever she holds a weapon or encounters a rival alone without any obstacles around them. In these moments, perhaps heavy breathing or heartbeat sounds could be added, her hands could shake, or we could clearly see an uncanny yet excited expression on Ayano's face. These are all small touches, but I believe they would make the game feel more sinister. I also want Ayano to be highly expressive, so her body language and even the way she walks should change depending on her mood and personality. She should feel dynamic, with noticeable shifts that reflect her internal conflict. I want her to feel more like a main character, so I'm aiming for a design that is memorable and makes her stand out from the crowd. While doing this, I'd like to keep her original twisted elements, using them to highlight the unpredictable side of her personality. She would constantly switch between bitter and sweet, reflecting emotional volatility similar to someone with borderline personality disorder. This constant back and forth would make her more complex and hard to predict, keeping players on edge as they try to understand her true nature. I want Ayano to have certain habits that make her stand out from others and subtly hint at the dark side lurking within her. For example, she might have a staring problem, often fixating on people or objects in an unnerving way. She could also have a nail-biting habit, adding a layer of nervous energy to her character. Her actions and style should be untamed yet stylish, giving her an edgy, unpredictable feel. Her uniform might be slightly messy from time to time, reflecting her chaotic nature, and she could occasionally walk with a slight wobble, indicating her instability. Small details like freckles and large, expressive eyes would add to her unique design, making her appear both captivating and unsettling. These physical traits would not only make her visually interesting, but also enhance her overall persona as someone with a complex, dual-sided character. For Ayano's outfit, I envision using a combination of larger and smaller shapes to emphasize her dual personalities. A longer skirt paired with a jacket over her school uniform would give her a layered, contrasting look, symbolizing the complexity of her character. A stylish backpack adorned with cute accessories, along with several earrings, would add to her expressive yet chaotic nature. Her hair would have a stylish touch, while chipped nail polish would subtly hint at her darker, unstable side. As for her color palette, I would use more desaturated reds, pinks, or blues to create a subdued yet still striking effect. While keeping her original school uniform design intact, adding alternative color variations would help her personality shine through. For example, a yellow backpack with cute accessories and a school ID card hanging around her neck could be a playful yet subtly offbeat touch, highlighting the contrast in her appearance, sweet but with an underlying edge. This mix of elements would make Ayano's design memorable, reflective of her complex character, and visually striking. We can also adjust all the rivals in a similar manner, giving each of them a more unique appearance and a meaningful backstory that truly reflects their personalities. This would make them feel like real, fleshed-out characters rather than just obstacles for the player to surpass. For this video, I chose not to go into too much detail about redesigning all 10 rivals, as I don't want this video to be 3 hours long. However, in the near future, I might create a separate video dedicated to designing each rival individually, since I have plenty of ideas for how to make them more distinct and engaging. To sum it all up, my redesign of Ayano would focus on creating a more consistent and visually striking style, giving her deeper personality contrasts and a more dynamic presence in the game. I want her to feel unpredictable, complex, and emotionally volatile rather than just an emotionless shell. Additionally, I would probably make the rival interactions even more intense to further emphasize the contrast between the game's opposing themes and Ayano's dual nature. There would be more strategy-based methods to eliminate obstacles, a wider variety of tools, and each would be more detailed and immersive in execution. This would not only make the game feel more engaging, but also add more depth to the gameplay, forcing players to strategize and consider the consequences of their actions. I'll dive into more details about that in another video, though. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure to leave a like and maybe even subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. I'll likely turn this into a series and dive deeper into what I believe can be improved. Stay tuned for that, and until then, have a great one.